All right, everyone. Welcome to the number one Raiders show in the world. My name is Stephen Michaels, the voice of the voiceless of the Raider Nation. This is the Raiders Daily Podcast. It's a Friday, and it's probably going to be a busy Friday. Mike Mayock is at the BYU Pro Days, which means John Gruden's all by himself at the Las Vegas headquarters. And last time that happened, guess what? There was news on Twitter. Rodney Hudson and Gabe Jackson were released, and then all of a sudden, Mike Mayock comes back and fixes all that, and the Raiders end up getting a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick for both of those guys. So you never know what's going to happen when John Gruden is by himself making decisions. Now, this morning, Willie Snead, the wide receiver formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, is visiting John Gruden. John Gruden has been a big fan of his, but Snead is on a tour. He wants to visit a few teams, so I don't know if the Raiders end up signing him, but you never know with John Gruden. It's John Gruden. When he gets you locked in that room, sometimes you just sign, and you can ask a lot of players throughout the years, from his first stint in Oakland to Tampa Bay to right here in Las Vegas. This guy just gets people to sign, because he's a football guy. He speaks just like them, and he wants to win. Unfortunately, this guy has not won since he returned as the Raiders head coach, which we will talk about today. John Gruden needs to win this season. And so does their quarterback, Derek Carr. Derek Carr is the guy who's been the quarterback, I think, for 7 years now? This guy has yet to even win a playoff game. At some point, the Raiders, if this guy doesn't win this season, if the Raiders don't go into the playoffs this season, I think the Raiders have to move on from Derek Carr and get another quarterback. I know there's a lot of people who like Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr can be clutch in the fourth quarter. This guy has, as many comebacks as this guy has had. It's amazing. The problem is he's really good from weeks 1 through 9 or 1 through 8. Then he just breaks down. I don't know what it is about the guy, but he just breaks down. And you can't have that if he's going to be your franchise quarterback. And he's already been paid like he's the franchise quarterback. And when you pay someone $120 million, I don't expect a team to win 6 games. I expect Super Bowl rings. I want to be telling you guys that we are talking about a team and talking about a quarterback in Derek Carr who already has 3 Super Bowl rings on his fingers. That's what we should be saying. Instead, we are talking about a guy who has never won a playoff game. I get it. He broke his ankle the 1 year they were good. It was a fluke year, people. Why do you think they sucked the year after? Why do you think they sucked the year before? It was a fluke. They went for it on fourth down a lot. It was overtime a lot. That was pretty much the reason why they got that far. Either way, if Derek Carr was in that game when they played the Houston Texans, the Raiders would have lost. They were fool's gold. Derek Carr was fool's gold that season. That is the reality. That is reality. If you don't believe me, look at the year after. Blame Todd Downing. Go ahead. Blame him. You still had Jack Del Rio, and that guy sucks. He's a proven loser. And you won all those games. Jack Del Rio is the most overrated head coach in the history of the National Football League. Captain Jack, going for it on fourth down. Let me tell you something. I would take John Gruden over Jack Del Rio any day of the week. But John Gruden, he has a Super Bowl ring. And don't give me, he did it with Tony Dungy's team. If he did it with Tony Dungy's team, why didn't Tony Dungy do it? Why? Because he was just like Derek Carr and Jack Del Rio. He couldn't get over the hump. He couldn't get into the playoffs and win in the playoffs and then get to the Super Bowl. Guess what the Bucs needed at that time? Someone who could. They brought John Gruden in, and what did he do? First year, boom, Super Bowl ring with Brad frickin' Johnson. How can you not do that with Derek Carr, is my question. How can you not do it? So anyways, Raiders, as you know, they did what I thought they probably should do. They actually got Marcus Mariota to restructure his contract. Marcus Mariota will be the backup for Derek Carr. Once again, Derek Carr is going to be looking over his shoulder. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Who knows? But I can tell you this. I mean, Derek better be on fire. Because if he does collapse, let's say in week 9 again, I think this year, with Mariota coming back, this year is going to be different. Because last season, the Raiders got to see Marcus Mariota. He had a lot of injuries in training camp, plus he just sucks at practice. He really does. Even when he was with the Titans, that was the big knock on him. During training camp, the guy looked like garbage. He looked like garbage. That's one of the reasons why Ryan Tannehill was brought in there, by the way. Because this dude just looked like garbage in practice. But when he got on the field, the Titans liked him. But then he started, the injuries started mounting up. Last season when the Raiders got him, I mean, this guy had elbow injuries, this guy had ankle injuries. But now they got to see him in that Chargers game. And all those run POs and things like that, John Gruden loved. You know it. Now, and Derek Carr was worried about it. Here's why. You have one game left, okay? The Raiders end up losing that game that Mariota played in. Mariota's basically playing backyard football. That's why I'm not here to tell you Marcus Mariota is the Raiders' answer, the solution at quarterback, because I don't think Marcus Mariota is that great. I think it was fun to watch in that one game, him coming off the bench, because there was no preparation. He was playing backyard football. But I'll tell you what, if Derek Carr starts struggling this season, John Gruden has already got to see what Marcus Mariota can do with all that run-pass option stuff. Derek Carr got to see it on the sidelines. They had one game left last season. One game left, meaningless game. In fact, if they lose, it only helps them in the draft. But Derek Carr did not want the world to see that again. He did not want to see Marcus Mariota out there running around, running for 88 yards, all those run-pass options. He did not want the coaching staff to see that. He did not want the fans to see that. And that's why Derek Carr made it his mission to play in that last game against Denver. He was not going to give Marcus Mariota that shine. Now, that ended up hurting the Raiders, because if Marcus Mariota plays that game, and let's just say he goes out there and he is spectacular. He doesn't throw an interception like he did against the Chargers, but he's running all over the field, run pass options. He's making big-time plays. The Raiders could have got a trade for this guy if the whole NFL got to see him play a full game with a week of preparation. I guarantee the Raiders would have got a third-round pick for him. I would bet the farm on it. But Derek Carr would not let that happen. No, he was not going to let you see Marcus Mariota. So he rushed back. The same guy who blames Jack Del Rio and the coaching staff for rushing him back, what was it, in 2017, 18, whenever it was, when he was injured, when E.J. Manuel played one game, he said, Derek Carr is on record by saying this, by the way, that the staff there should have let Derek Carr heal for another week or two. And then the Raiders could have, he wasn't ready to come back yet. That's the same guy. E.J. Manuel, fine, go out and play. Marcus Mariota, my groin hurts, but I'll play. I'll play against the Denver Broncos, who have Drew Lock as their quarterback, who can't beat a high school team. I'll play against them. Derek Carr, he has to step it up. He needs to be the franchise this season. If the Raiders are ever going to get over the hump, if John Gruden is ever going to, this guy's getting paid $100 million. If he's ever going to be worth that money, then it's time to make the playoffs. Now, last season, there was a lot of things wrong. Okay? Their running game, non-existent. Josh Jacobs was a shell of himself. The guy was injured pretty much the entire season, right? The guy wasn't very good. Let's all admit it. Josh Jacobs was a bust last season. We shouldn't be afraid to say what is real. And that is real. The guy sucked last year. And it's not like Josh Jacobs has blazing speed, by the way. But anyways, he was injured most of the year. He was pretty much a non-factor. Devontae Booker was better than him last season. The Raiders go out and they sign Kenyon Drake. This guy is a playmaker. This guy will be able to make plays. In fact, I will bet you. Now, I know there's these reports out there on Twitter that the Raiders are going to make him a wide receiver. It's not true. It's BS. Yes, John Gruden will line them up, to catch screen passes, maybe line them up outside once in a while. It's Kenyon Drake. The guy can make plays all over the field. Of course, Gruden's going to line them up everywhere. That's just what he's going to do, but he's going to be the running back. And I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being the number 1 running back and Josh Jacobs ends up being the number 2 running back. So they got better in that aspect. With the wide receiver position, as you know, in this whole crazy free agency thing, they bring in John Brown, who I think, honestly, you're not going to miss Nelson Aguilar anymore because John Brown's going to do the same exact thing that he did. And like I told you, they're meeting with Willie Snead today. That would be a good pickup. You got to put a lot of weapons around Derek Carr. And you still got, remember, Hunter Renfrow. This is going to be Brian Edwards' year, by the way. And, of course, Henry Ruggs. Hopefully this guy's route running can get better. And then on defense. Defense was a big problem last year. Everyone knows that. Their defense was the worst defense I've ever watched. I've been watching the NFL since I've been, 6 years old. That defense last season sucked so bad. I've never seen anything like it. Now, there's a lot of blame to go around there. Paul Gunther, his scheme is terrible. But the players themselves just sucked. They couldn't tackle. The defensive line could not create any pass rush. So what do the Raiders do this offseason, this free agency? They just go out and sign pretty much every defensive lineman they can. Guys who are coming off injuries, guys who are, in trouble or, coming off suspensions or things like that. Guys that you roll the dice with. And let me tell you something, when you do that, it works sometimes. Because a lot of those guys want to prove not just to the Raiders, but to the rest of the NFL that they still got it and someone should pay them. They made a mistake or they got injured, but they are healthy now and they want to wreak havoc and show the world, look what you're missing out on and I want a big payday next year. That's why the Raiders all sign them to 1-year deals. Now, if all these guys turn out to be monsters, all these guys, let's say Salomon Thomas is just a game wrecker. Let's just pretend, okay? He's a game wrecker. This guy's going to get paid next season. And it might not be by the Raiders, but that's okay. If the Raiders are getting after the quarterback and creating pressure, something they could not do last season, if they are doing that with all of these guys that they have signed, seriously, Matt Dickerson, all these guys, Darius Philon, this guy was in trouble. That's another guy I would look out for to be really good. A guy who's in trouble a lot, then you bring him in 1-year deal. Don't forget, I keep saying this to Raider fans, I think they keep forgetting, you have David Irving there. That guy was a beast. Before he got to the Raiders, this guy played 4 or 5 games with the Cowboys and got 4 sets. I don't know his numbers. I'm sorry. I don't have the stats in front of me. But the guy was awesome, okay? He's coming back with the Raiders. With a full offseason, I'll bet you right now that guy has at least 8 sacks this coming season. I will bet anyone. He is going to be a beast. Now, the Raiders did, like I said, they signed a whole bunch of defensive linemen, and I know they're not done, by the way. They're going to sign more. They obviously signed Yannick Ngakoue. Is that how you say his last name? I have a hard time saying it. But anyways, that guy, if he plays up to, the level he can play at, he is going to be a monster. The Raiders have their Khalil Mack. He's better than Khalil Mack. The Raiders have their monster right there. Then you have Max Crosby on the other side. And then, of course, the Raiders make some questionable decisions, bringing back their own guys. Like Andre James, obviously they're going to bring back Andre James. They've been grooming him to be the center. That's why Rodney Hudson wanted out. That's why he's a little crybaby. That's why he hates all of you. I try explaining this to you guys, but you don't want to believe me. But Andre James is the future. Even though they signed Nick Martin, it's Andre James' job to lose. So I can understand that re-signing. I understand re-signing Nicholas Morrow. The guy has been playing better each and every year. So why not, you don't want him to go somewhere else and all of a sudden the guy's an all-star, a Pro Bowler. So you might as well keep him. That's fine. I still think the Raiders are going to sign our linebacker eventually, an older guy. But then, the weird ones start happening. Now, I don't know why the Raiders have done this, but they signed back Derek Carrier. Does Derek Carrier have some kind of, I don't know, some kind of dirt on John Gruden or Mike Mayock or Mark Davis? Does he have naked pictures of one of their wives or something? How does this guy keep getting a job? He never even sees the field as a tight end. And guess what? He's back on the squad again. He's like Kyle Wilbur. We might as well put a captain, a C, right on his jersey because this guy's not going anywhere. He's a lifelong Raider from now on. You know what I mean? I mean, you might as well just buy a Derek Carrier jersey. I tell everyone never to buy jerseys of players because they never stay nowadays. It's like they're with a team for 4 years, then they're off somewhere else. You know, so if you ever buy a jersey, buy like a Howie Long jersey, for example. But Derek Carrier, by the time this is over, I mean, this guy might be with the Raiders for 15 years. So you might want to buy a Derek Carrier jersey. Another weird one is Zay Jones, wide receiver Zay Jones. Why that's weird? Well, Willie Snead is visiting right now. The Raiders are looking to add another veteran wide receiver. So why pay Zay Jones? Why pay him? I believe he got like $2 million, maybe more than that. The guy, I mean, the Raiders gave a 5th round pick for him. And this all comes down to, once again, John Gruden's ego. He does not want to admit his mistake. He doesn't want to admit that, listen, I thought Zay Jones, with his speed, I thought he just wasn't being used right in Buffalo. I thought we were going to get like a Tyreek Hill out of him. We did not. The guy's route running sucks. The guy never gets open. The guy can't get separation. He's not very good. Let's just move on. No. The Raiders can't do that. Instead, they re-sign this guy. Now, I don't know if he's going to make the roster. I know he's friends with Derek Carr. I get it. There's like a, they like each other. Derek Carr throws to him in the offseason. I get it. But when it's during the game, Derek Carr's not looking for him very much. Why? Because the guy's not open. That's why. Or Derek Carr don't scope the field very well, which he doesn't. Sometimes he does. I would say 6 out of 10 times Derek Carr does a full, 100% scope, where he is pretty much gets the whole landscape of the field, pretty much knows if you should check it down or, throw it to the hot guy, the hot read, I should say. Not the hot guy. Zay Jones just hasn't been doing anything. Another weird sign is re-signing Jonathan Hankins. Now, your defensive line is terrible. You couldn't stop the run last season. At the beginning of the year, if you remember, the Raiders with stats, that's why I never believe those stats, by the way. With those stats, they looked like they were good against the run, right? I think they were even ranked like in the top 10 at one point early on in the season. But what the whole world didn't know, because they don't watch Raider games like I do, 20 times a week here, is that most of these teams were not running against the Raiders. So they weren't using their running backs because it was so easy to throw off the Raiders secondary, and their linebackers couldn't stop anyone. They would just throw it in the middle of the field over and over and over and over and over again and get a first down, and eventually touchdown. The Raiders' defense couldn't stop a flu last season. So, I mean, that's what. So then, eventually, halfway through the season, I forgot what team it was at this point, but they started running the ball. Or even before that, I remember the Patriots started running Rex Burkhead, and they couldn't even stop Rex Burkhead. That's when I knew, by the way, the Raiders were in trouble. But that was just the first signs, the first little crack I could see. But then it got worse. It got real bad. Because then when teams started to run it a lot off them, then you got to see how bad they were against the run. This team couldn't stop any running back. I don't care who he was. It doesn't matter if he was Edgar James. The Raiders' defense wouldn't be able to stop him. Meanwhile, you have a guy named Jonathan Hankins on your team who's supposed to be a run stuffer. That's his whole gimmick, is he can stop the run. Well, he couldn't stop any runner last season, so why re-sign him? Why recycle these guys? Why bring them back? You can't keep... this is the definition of insanity, of doing the same thing over and over again when it's not working. Jonathan Hankins can't stop the run. So get rid of Jonathan Hankins. Let him go to a different team. I bet you the guy would still be a free agent right now if the Raiders didn't re-sign him. Just like Derek Carrier. They'd be looking around for a job. They would still be free agents. Because any player personnel can put on the tape right now, put on the film, watch Jonathan Hankins just not be able to stop any running back, running right through his gap. And he can't do a thing about it. So why re-sign him? Now, maybe he won't make the team. Maybe because the Raiders are signing all these defensive linemen, maybe they simply won't have enough room for Jonathan Hankins and they can release him. Because I believe all these contracts only are guaranteed if you make the roster. That's why with Zay Jones, that could be the case there too. Yeah, it looks like, oh my God, I can't believe the Raiders are giving millions of dollars there. But it might not actually come into effect unless you make the roster, unless you make the team. And that's why the Raiders are signing another veteran wide receiver. And because if you look at their depth chart, I mean, just take a look at it. You got Henry Ruggs, you got Brian Edwards, which I already told you will be his year. This is his year this season. You brought in, like I said, John Brown, Hunter Renfrow, so the list just keeps going. And then if you want Zay Jones, there's 5. And you're looking at a guy now you're up to 6. Then you still got Darren Waller over there. You line up as wide receiver all the time. I mean, the list will go on and on. You know what I'm saying. So, and plus, the draft is coming. And let's not play stupid and act like John Gruden's not going to draft a wide receiver at some point in this draft. Or get an undrafted guy. Not to mention, they have Keelan Doss on their team. They have Marcel Aitman. These guys are competing for a job. They have so many wide receivers. So many wide receivers. But anyways, the Raiders also re-signed Theo Riddick. Now, I don't honestly believe that Theo Riddick is going to be on the depth chart this season. I really don't. I think with Josh Jacobs and Drake there, I think the Raiders will draft a running back, and that guy will end up being the 3rd running back. I think Jalen Richard, actually I know this, I know for a fact the Raiders have called teams to try trading Jalen Richard. I haven't even tweeted that, I only talked about that in the Raiders Daily Elite, the greatest subscription service in the world, where we do our weekly podcasts and video shows and things like that. But I know for a fact they have done that. They have reached out to other teams, seeing what his market value was. Really, there is none. It's like the Bengals trying to trade their running back there, Gio. As soon as the Raiders seen that, they were calling teams asking about Richard. They also, just to let you know, they call teams about other players they have on their roster currently. Not like huge names. I'm not going to reveal who it is because I keep that for my group. But, I mean, I'm pretty sure Vic Tafur eventually will put it out there. He might already have. I have no idea. I don't subscribe to whatever. I forgot his website, what it's called. What is it called? Hang on. The Athletic, I'm sorry. Just want to give him a plug. You know, if you want to pay the $60 to join and read stuff that I already told the world, go ahead. But anyways, no, he's a good reporter, though. He does get good information. He's really good. You got a lot of good Raider reporters. You got Vinny, who pretty much works for the Raiders, so that's really not fair. You know they're sliding him information to make sure he gets it first. So that's what I'm saying. I feel bad for guys like Vic Tafur because he's bad. It's not even a fair fight. You know what I mean? But Vic Tafur, I think, he still gets his scoops. You know what I mean? He still knows people in there. So, definitely don't. I would still follow Vic Tafur if I was you guys. If I was a diehard Raider fan. And I wanted, the latest information. I'm following Vic Tafur. I'm following Vinny Bonsignore. I'm not listening to the radio shows, to the Raiders AM radio show. What a disaster. Who buys an AM radio show? That's one thing about the Raiders. They got the Las Vegas, they got this beautiful stadium. If you're going to buy a radio station, why on earth would you buy an AM radio station? I don't know a single person who listens to AM radio. And by the way, judging by their ratings, nobody there is listening to it either. They have like a 0.1 for a rating. That's awful. That means like hardly no one's listening. they put me on there, they would be number one in Las Vegas, by the way. I don't care if it's AM or FM, just because I'm more entertaining. That's the problem with the Raiders, though. They don't want me too close because they know I know too much about football. Their media relations team. They know that I know things. I talk to people. They hate me. They hate me. I am like their enemy. But I'm also the ratings king. And no one can deny that. I go on anyone's show as a guest. Their ratings are up more than they've been up in months. You can ask any station I've been on. Sean Salisbury show. Go ask him. Ask him how big his ratings were when he had me on compared to whoever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm up there with the big guys. Because that's what I do. I try to bring entertainment to the Raiders. I try to make this fun. And I try to, share my opinions, which are always correct. And I break this team down for you. And that's why I'm telling you, this season, the Raiders, this offseason so far, did get better on defensive line. They brought a lot of guys in, like a Quentin Jefferson. All of these guys, yes, they're gambles. Yes, they're coming off injuries. But if they can get after the quarterback, they'll be fine. Now, I know a lot of Raider fans are worried about the secondary. Let me just tell you this, and Vic Tafur has tweeted this out as well. The Raiders, the people who make decisions there, are telling everyone who, gets to ask, tries to weasel their, like me, like a stalker, weasels their way into, asking a question. They tell us all that they have a plan for the secondary and it's not really an issue for them, which tells me they probably already have a handshake agreement with some safety out there. They probably already have a cornerback that's probably going to sign. Who knows? Maybe they already have a deal with Casey Hayward and we just don't know about it. So that's
from Galaxy S7.
Oop. We're going to have to wait there. So, so that's what I'm saying. So I wouldn't stress about it. Since they're not stressing about it, why should we? But that's really it, guys. Let's hope, the Raiders get better from here. The draft is coming. Do they trade their pick for an established player? I wouldn't put it past them at all. Do the Raiders, draft a right tackle? They need to get a right tackle eventually. They need to get someone there. It's boring. I hate when teams take an offensive lineman in the first round, but unfortunately that might happen this season. I hope not. It's so boring. Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen in a draft. The Raiders don't know what's going to happen in a draft. They don't know where they're going or what they're doing. So if anyone tells you, all these mock drafts that you see right now, they're all BS because I guarantee you 80% of these teams don't know who they are drafting just yet. It's impossible to know. If they did, they wouldn't be going to pro days all over the country. So think about it. But anyways, the Raiders defense did get better on defensive line. They do have to grab secondary. They do need one more vet cornerback, and I'm not talking about another weird re-signing, Nevin Lawson. The guy is trash. I don't know why you re-sign these scrubs, but that guy is trash. They need to go out and get a veteran cornerback, even though Damon Arnett and Mullen will be the starters. They still need a veteran there. You need a veteran safety. I know you got Jeff Heath back there, but that's not a good plan. That's not a good idea. Go get a free safety. Jonathan Abram is more of a box safety, obviously, and someone that can help him out as well. That's what the Raiders need to do going forward. And on offense, like I said, hopefully Derek Carr can be good throughout an entire season. It's yet to, we haven't got to see that yet, but he's got one more year, guys. If he doesn't do it this season, I'm telling you, it won't be John Gruden who gets fired. I can promise you that. Because John Gruden will point the fingers at Derek Carr and the Raiders will go get a quarterback. I promise you. They will go get a quarterback. That's why when people ask me, will the Raiders trade for Russell Wilson? I can't say 100% no. Because it's John Gruden. I'm not saying they're going to. I'm not saying they're talking about it because they're not. But I don't know if that ends up happening in the draft because it's impossible to know those things. Especially when you have a lunatic like John Gruden back there. And especially, Mark Davis looking at this team saying, hey, this guy's, Derek Carr's never won us anything. I like the guy a lot. He's a nice kid, but he's never won us anything. And, I got to sell tickets here. When we need to win. I hope Mark Davis understands this, that he needs to win. He's in Las Vegas, hasn't made the greatest business decisions. I talked about the AM radio stuff. You gotta put together a team that wins. You gotta stop being so loyal to people like John Gruden. You gotta tell John Gruden, hey, listen, playoffs this year, or guess what? I know I paid you a boatload of money. You got 2 years to turn this thing around, but I want at least a playoff run this season. I want at least a wild card spot this season. And then next year, I demand you go deep into the playoffs or a Super Bowl or you're fired. So figure out your quarterback situation. Figure out your defensive situation. You just hired your guy. You already hired the other guy, your friend Paul Gunther, and that didn't work out well. Every decision you have made so far has failed, and I'm paying you a shitload of money. I have this beautiful new stadium, and now I need to sell season tickets. I need to sell luxury boxes. I need this team to win. Like my father used to say, just win. All right, everyone, my name is Stephen Michaels. This is the Raiders Daily.